Mr. Hassan is a 72-year-old retired teacher with a 20-year history of hypertension. He came to his doctor with one simple complaint. He gets breathless climbing the stairs. 2 weeks later, while walking up a flight of steps, he faints and collapses. In the context of aortic stenosis, that syncopal episode on the stairs is a precise prognostic marker. Without intervention, the average survival for a patient who experiences syncope from severe aortic stenosis is less than 3 years. Aortic stenosis is a rigid, mechanical bottleneck. The valve physically calcifies and narrows, completely breaking normal cardiac hemodynamics. Because the defect is structural, standard pharmacological cardiology, pills, and medical management is entirely useless. Navigating the rigid diagnostic criteria and surgical pathways requires looking past the surface symptoms and understanding this specific mechanical failure from first principles. A normal, healthy aortic valve opens fully to an area of 4 to 6 square centimeters, allowing blood to leave the heart with zero resistance. Here in this diagram, we see the threshold for severe aortic stenosis. The valve area drops drastically below 1.0 square centimeter. This is typically driven by decades of age-related wear and calcification, or by a bicuspid aortic valve, a congenital defect where the valve only has 2 leaflets instead of 3. The immediate mechanical consequence is visible on these pressure gauges. To maintain blood flow through this tiny, calcified opening, the left ventricle must generate enormous internal pressure. Restricting the nozzle area on a garden hose forces the upstream pump to work exponentially harder just to maintain the same output of water. The heart faces the exact same physics. This artificially generated pressure gradient across the valve is the physical root cause of every clinical sign, symptom, and fatal complication in the aortic stenosis cascade. To defend against this extreme pressure, the heart develops concentric left ventricular hypertrophy. The walls thicken inward, drastically shrinking the chamber. This creates a stiff, non-compliant ventricle that resists expansion, accepting much less blood during the filling phase, causing severe diastolic dysfunction. This establishes a state of fixed cardiac output. A stiff, bottlenecked system cannot pump out any more blood per minute than its baseline resting rate, no matter how much oxygen the body demands. When a patient walks uphill, the peripheral blood vessels in their legs naturally dilate to supply more oxygen to the working muscles. A healthy heart accommodates this drop in resistance by simply pumping faster and harder to fill those dilated vessels and maintain steady blood pressure. The aortic stenosis heart cannot increase its output. When the peripheral vessels dilate, the exact same volume of blood is suddenly spread across a much wider area. The patient's blood pressure crashes abruptly, the brain is deprived of oxygen, and syncope occurs. The heart's desperate structural attempt to bulk up its muscle and overcome the narrowed valve creates the very fixed output physiological trap that caused Mr. Hassan to suddenly collapse on the stairs. For the clinician, that extreme turbulent pressure gradient pushing through the calcified valve generates a highly specific acoustic signature, a harsh ejection systolic murmur. This phonocardiogram visualizes the classic crescendo-decrescendo shape of the murmur. It builds up and tapers off, directly mirroring the rise and fall of left ventricular pressure as it ejects blood during mid-systole. It sounds like the roar of a river intensifying as the water rushes into a narrow canyon and then fading as it exits the restriction. The HRURN mnemonic, mapped out on this diagram, organizes the physical findings of the murmur into a single cohesive framework. The first half covers the origin, a harsh character located at the right upper sternal border. The second half explains the trajectory. It radiates to the neck, carrying that harsh, turbulent sound up into the carotid arteries. A major clinical differential requires distinguishing aortic stenosis from hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a genetic thickening of the heart muscle that also produces a systolic murmur. You do this using the Valsalva maneuver, where the patient bears down forcefully. The aortic stenosis murmur relies on forward blood flow. Because Valsalva decreases venous return, the preload entering the heart, the forward flow decreases, causing the aortic stenosis murmur to get quieter. This is the exact opposite behavior of a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy murmur. Recognizing this mechanically driven acoustic signature is the clinician's first definitive proof that the lethal hemodynamic bottleneck is present. This brings us to the SAD triad. These three terminal symptoms mark the moment the patient's compensatory mechanisms have officially failed and the terminal phase begins. The S stands for syncope, driven by the fixed cardiac output and vasodilation mismatch that causes sudden fainting during exertion. Median survival after a first syncopal episode is only 3 years. The A stands for angina, severe chest pain that occurs even if the patient has completely clean, plaque-free coronary arteries. The massively overgrown muscle demands excessive oxygen, while the high internal pressure physically compresses the coronary arteries, creating a severe supply-demand mismatch. Once angina begins, average survival without intervention is 5 years. The D stands for dyspnea. This marks absolute congestive left ventricular failure, where pressure backs up into the lungs, causing pulmonary edema. Survival after dyspnea is only 2 years. It is the worst prognostic sign and the ultimate deadline. The appearance of any single SAD symptom shifts the patient's clinical status immediately. Passive observation ends, and a mandatory race for surgical intervention begins. There is a persistent misconception that medication can manage or delay the progression of severe symptomatic aortic stenosis. In reality, no medical therapy has ever been shown to improve survival. Prescribing standard blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors or nitrates for hypertension in these patients is specifically lethal. A heart with a fixed cardiac output cannot compensate for vasodilation, resulting in catastrophic hypotension. Massive clinical studies, like the SEAS trial, which tested cholesterol-lowering statins, proved that medication entirely fails to halt or reverse the calcification of the valve. Once symptoms appear, the only valid next step is definitive diagnosis via echocardiography to physically prove the severity of the bottleneck. This dashboard shows the 144 echo criteria to definitively diagnose severe aortic stenosis. First, aortic valve area must be less than 1.0 square centimeter. Second, a mean gradient greater than 40 millimeters of mercury and a peak velocity greater than 4 meters per second. Meeting these specific echo criteria, combined with a ticking SAD symptom clock, clinically and ethically mandates immediate mechanical intervention over any pharmacological attempt. There are 2 definitive mechanical solutions to break the bottleneck: transcatheter aortic valve replacement, known as TAVR, and surgical aortic valve replacement, known as SAVR. We route patients using the decision framework. Old gets TAVR, young gets SAVR. The TAVR pathway uses a minimally invasive approach through the femoral artery in the leg. It is indicated for elderly, frail patients, or those with intermediate to high-risk open-heart surgery. The SAVR pathway is a traditional open sternotomy surgery. It is indicated for younger, lower-risk patients or those requiring complex fixes, like removing a congenital bicuspid valve. We can apply this framework directly to our opening clinical case with Mr. Hassan. He is 72 years old. His echocardiogram revealed a critically tight aortic valve area of 0.7 square centimeters and a mean gradient of 52 millimeters of mercury. Most importantly, his recent syncopal collapse marked the beginning of his SAD countdown. Mr. Hassan perfectly fits the high-risk TAVR profile. He undergoes the transcatheter replacement, receives a new functioning valve, and entirely eliminates his exertional symptoms. Mastering aortic stenosis requires recognizing the physical bottleneck, respecting the fatal SAD countdown, ignoring the medical management trap, and executing the definitive mechanical intervention before the clock runs out.